Hello and welcome to this thINK Forum webinar featuring a Q&A session with Dave Johannes about thINK 2016. So thINK is an independent community of Canon Solutions America production print customers and also solution partners and industry experts. It is designed to assist businesses in achieving accelerated growth and productivity while providing a forum to connect, collaborate, and inspire. Now we'll get started momentarily, but I wanted just to say that this is a listen-only webinar. However, we do encourage you to submit questions through your GoToWebinar control panel via the chat window. And as I see questions coming up in the chat window, I'll answer them during and at the end of the presentation. Also, this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on thinkforum.com in just a few days. So my name is Jim Hamilton. I'm a group director with InfoTrends, and I am today's moderator for this event. Joining me is Dave Johannes, the thINK 2016 conference chair. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, Jim. How you doing?
It is my pleasure to be here. I'm really looking forward to this. Now, Dave, I know I'm just trying to be sure we're presenting right now. Dave, I know that you're the Senior Vice President of Operations at IWCO Direct with 40 years of catalog and direct mail experience, so that's quite a career. But I hear also that you were awarded the Graphic Communications Association Innovator Award. That's quite an accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was a long time ago, but thank you anyway.
No, that's all right. It still holds. You get to keep that one. And of course, you guys have been early adopters of the original inkjet addressing technology that's evolved over time with inkjet's evolution across a wide range of applications from simple to complex. Let me just make sure my screen is sharing here, and we'll move forward in a moment. So, as you know, Dave, today's topics are what is thINK, the thINK Conference 2016, and you, of course, are the conference chair, so that's a big role for you. We can get into that in a moment. There are a number of really interesting keynotes set up, including some very well-known names. A number of sessions, five different areas broken out. The opportunity to go to the Customer Experience Center in Boca Raton for tours and demos. And there's an extensive partner list. I'm sure at the end people will be very interested in learning about how they can get to thINK 2016 and what actions they need to take to get there. But let's get ourselves started. Dave, tell us a little bit about thINK. What is it? Why was it created? Can you give us some background on it?
Sure. Well, several years ago, I was a member of the original Transactional Print Advisory Council that was set up by Canon. And, it was a handful of guys, 4 or 5 of us, that met 3 times a year with Canon, talked about their products, product innovation, gave them feedback from our own experiences with their product, looked at their roadmap. It was a real good interaction for a small group of people. And toward the end of our time, and that group has continued on under different names, it's grandfathered where you run like a 2-year cycle and then they replace everybody on it. The original group, we got together and we said, you know what, we really think that not only is it good to have this almost a steering committee working at this higher level with Canon, but also wouldn't it be great if we could take a lot of the things that we're learning throughout the year, bundle them up, and at least once a year have a conference where we could share this with a much broader audience of Canon users. So that kind of led to the idea that we needed to form some kind of a user group. We wanted it to be independent but supported by Canon, so it is actually an independent group that Canon contributes to, but it is made up solely of Canon users, and the idea is to really share best practices, network, learn from each other in an environment that is focused on the inkjet technology and the Canon products that we're using. And then we thought, to make it more a sustainable thing, we would bring in partners of Canon's that provide everything from software support to, finishing devices and make them part of our event. So this is going to be the second conference. I can tell you that the planning for conference number 2 began before we actually completed conference number 1. There's been a lot of time and energy put into this by my fellow board members and a number of the Canon marketing staff and others from the industry analysts and all that help us with thinking about this and how to make it an interactive, really strong networking event for, groups of Canon users. Can't say that enough, but I mean, the idea is to really allow the community to educate each other, like I said, share best practices, really focus on how to get the most out of the equipment that we're investing so much money in, and help drive the medium forward so that printing and direct mail and a lot of these things that are often rumored in the press to be going away can continue to sustain and even grow as one of the most powerful marketing channels there is. So,
I had a chance to attend the first thINK conference in New York City, a tremendous event, and I'm really looking forward to this one. So tell me, when is the upcoming conference?
The dates of the conference are October 10th through 12th, and we're going to be at the beautiful Boca Raton Resort and Club, which is a Waldorf Astoria resort down in Boca Raton, Florida, near Canon's print production headquarters there in Florida, which gives us, you mentioned earlier, opportunity to go to their customer experience center and see equipment, in live demos and whatnot. So the thought was, probably don't want to do it every year in Florida, but we're thinking maybe every other year. It's a great place to come back to and be able to have that access to the Canon headquarters and the facilities and all the resources that are there. And then in off years, we'd go somewhere else. So,
well, it certainly is a magnificent facility. And having it in New York last year allowed you to align it with the Canon Expo, which I think made it also a special event that year. So, very nicely done.
For an inaugural event, we were very pleased with the way that unfolded and
Yep, definitely. So I remember Phil Simms actually from last year, the New York Giants former quarterback, talking about the NFL, but you've got some great keynote sessions across a range of topic areas. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I think the keynote sessions also reflect the growth in the conference and how we're trying to build this thing out. So yeah, you mentioned last year we had Phil Simms, who gave kind of an opening night, warm up the crowd talk, told some NFL stories. It was interesting, but there wasn't a lot of focus on the business. It was more personal stories. And we'll have Chris Everett this year, who was actually speaking on the last day, but she will tell us her story of her professional life in tennis and some of her motivational things that have happened through the course of her career. I'm just as excited though about some of the other speakers we've lined up. We've got David Humphreys from U.S. Healthcare and the Economist Intelligence Unit. He's a very knowledgeable guy. He's going to really talk to us about, I think his session is called The Future of Print in the U.S. Landscape, Implications, and Opportunities, which he's bringing a lot of business intelligence to the stage and going to tell us a lot of real good insights about where this industry is headed over the next few years. And kind of tied to that, and I think John actually speaks first, John Margulies from Winterberry Group is going to also talk a little bit about that same kind of subject line. He's going to tell his session's called Lessons Learned, What a Decade of Disruption Tells Us About Direct Mail's Future and How You Can Benefit. So two very complementary sessions by two guys that have a lot of business insight into the market space and how the industry as a whole is doing within the broader economy. And then our last speaker, Greg McCowan, is an author. He's the CEO of a company called Disincorporated, and he wrote a book called Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And it's really kind of a book about how you can narrow your focus and actually get more done by trying not to do as much. It sounds counterintuitive, but very interesting subject matter. His book was a bestseller last year, business book. So looking forward to hear his session and learn more about what it's like to pursue less, because most of us are always pursuing more.
Yeah, it's a very, very appealing idea. I like the sound of that. Yes. So now I'm very honored to have been asked to be a speaker at this event. I know my colleague Barb Pello is going to speak as well, but you've got a real diversity of speakers here. Can you talk a little bit about the range of folks that you drew from for the various sessions?
Yeah, like I said, we've been working on this for the better part of a year, and it's great to have those celebrity speakers, but we also are trying to, again, create the ability to share and educate each other on all things inkjet. And so, we got people who are, well, I'm a speaker, so guys like me, guys like you and Barb, we've got, so that's the industry analysts. We've got subject matter experts from the Canon professional side. We've got vendor partners who are going to give us their insights into software or equipment. We have data experts. We've got people coming in from a couple of different data companies to talk about data analytics and how that ties to messaging, creative agencies, in-plant operations, all there to share, their experiences in all these different applications of inkjet technology. And when you see the audience as a whole, it's also a very diverse audience. There's a lot of different ways that this technology is being used, and the way I use it is much different than the way an in-plant would use it, or like a Shutterfly or a book printer of some sort, where they're using the equipment for a completely different application than direct mail. So lots to learn, a lot of best practices to be shared.
Well, I know the session that I'm doing is on finishing. I have two service providers on my panel, and their perspective on the rollout of inkjet in their environments, how they're dealing with the finishing aspects and the questions that come up around that, and the efficiencies associated with it, I think is going to be a really good session. So I'm very excited about that. Now,
I'm going to share about my session then. My session is, because I got the best title, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's called "I Like Big Data and I Cannot Lie," and it's really about advanced techniques for dynamic content management, which is really trying to get at that one-to-one marketing approach that you can actually achieve with a digital press. So we've got Nick Romano from Pernova, who will be talking about their message point product. Ron Goglia, who is with Cigna, and he's going to be talking about some of how they've used the software to help them be more efficient in their workflow. So, to the sessions themselves, Jim, what's really neat, and we weren't able to do this as much last year because it was the first year, we've broken down our sessions into 5 tracks: business, marketing and selling, color, data and workflow, and technical. And within each of those tracks, there's 5 sessions, some beginner or starter or, just getting underway in the digital print world. And then there's a few advanced sessions. So, and they're kind of laid out where if you wanted to follow a single track all the way through, you could go to all the beginner classes in the morning and finish with the advanced stuff in the afternoon, or you can hop around. But, again, we're very proud of what we've done with the education tracks and how we've set these sessions up.
Well, it's going to be hard to choose. They've got a great selection here, and for a range of levels. So I think it looks like a great program. And then not only that, what was great last year actually about having the Canon Expo at the same time as thINK was that there was an opportunity to see some of the equipment live, and now it's probably even more expanded because of the opportunity to go to the Canon Solutions America Customer Experience Center. So talk some about that opportunity.
Well, if you've not been to their facility in Boca, I think it'll be a real treat. They have a very nice customer experience center. They have multiple pieces of equipment up and running in there, kind of represents their overall product line. In addition to that, they've got a media lab where they do testing on paper and inks, and so there's just a ton of really good stuff that you can see and people that you can meet with to get a deeper dive into some of the technical questions you might have. So as good as it was going to Canon Expo was really designed to show off the full range of Canon without the ability to be as specific about the print production equipment that we'll be able to see at the Experience Center. So very excited that we could tie this into the overall program.
Right. No, it's tremendous. I mean, being able to see the new products like the i300. Actually, there were announcements today about some new image press color toner-based products that I'm sure there'll be a chance to see that. So that sounds great. I'm just going to pause for a minute and remind people that if you do have a question for Dave, put it into the chat window. We'll respond to it as best we can, and make sure that we meet your needs for any questions you have about this fabulous event. So let's think a little bit about what somebody needs to. Oops, no, I guess I'm one ahead of myself. You've got a lot of partners here. Let me see. I'm having a little bit of a problem with my display here. We'll work that out in a second. And just a second. Just give me a chance here to go back, and I think we should be all right. But maybe you could start by talking about the partners, Dave.
Okay. So this year, I think last year we had maybe 25 partners. This year we're up to 35, and if you look at the list of names, it's an impressive group. We've got the big paper companies, Mondi, Domtar, Lindemeyer, Monroe, just to name a few. On the equipment side, you've got Roland, MBO, TechNow, Videc, EMT. Software, Crawford Technologies, Pronova, who I mentioned earlier, Cephas, Ironsides. It's a strong group, and they'll all have kind of, I guess, to explain how you're going to get to interact with them. We have a customer or a partner pavilion, and in between sessions for lunch and after sessions in the evening, we'll have a cocktail hour in their area that they're hosting, which will give you a chance to kind of circulate, talk to them, talk to each other, have a good drink. I can't stress enough how important the networking benefit is for the attendees here, because not only do you get all the great information in the sessions, but there's plenty of time built into the overall program to give you an opportunity to talk to your peers, an opportunity to talk to the partners, and really, build relationships and learn.
From last year's event, one thing that really stuck with me was that the number of substrate vendors that you had there were really coordinated to print samples, and this was when the i300 was just coming out, so that you could really see what the output looked like on a range of substrates. And along the lines of what you were saying, Dave, this opportunity to see some of this and talk to the experts from the partners, whether it's substrates or front end or finishing or whatever other category there might be, it's unique, and I found it to be a great part of that event.
Yeah, I can't tell you how the vendors really appreciate it, because they get an opportunity to talk to people in an environment other than a sales call environment, and the attendees like it too, because there's no pressure. Nobody's trying to sell you anything at this. They're trying to educate you, share information, and give you an opportunity to set up meetings with them after the show if you want. So.
Yep. No, that's really good.
Mini trade show all rolled into an educational session.
No, I think that's good, and then the opportunity to network with folks is really good. I mean, back to the paper topic, though, I do think Canon has done an excellent job of working with the various paper vendors, and then on top of that, there's the chance to see the testing lab in Boca, and that's where all this stuff happens.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yep.
And they have done a very good job of making the paper manufacturers their partners, because the substrate is as big a piece of the output as anything that the presses do.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree with you more there. Okay, so we've set the stage here. What have you got to do to get yourself down to Boca for this event?
Well, you should go to our website at thinkforum.com. Register yourself to become a Think member. Register to attend the conference. If you haven't been invited, talk to your Canon sales rep and ask them for an invitation. And make sure that, if you're coming to the conference, you get over to see that customer experience center, because, like I said, everybody doesn't get a chance to come down there probably as often as I do, but it's worth the time you spend there every time you go.
Oh, definitely. It's a great spot. They've done a really nice job setting that up and running that. So, Dave, if I can just sort of reiterate, though, so it's not necessarily everybody that gets to go. You do have to be a Think member to do that, and
correct.
That involves owning some Canon equipment and also working with a sales rep to be invited down there. Is that a fair summary?
It's a fair
All
summary.
right.
You don't have to actually own the equipment, but you certainly have to be considered a serious prospect to be buying something.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to own it if you're thinking about it. And honestly, looking at the portfolio of products, there are a lot of people who probably should be giving that some thought.
That's where you get your sales rep to give you the recommendation.
Exactly. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, because I haven't seen any questions yet. Again, I urge anyone who's online now to type in a question. Of course, if you do have questions about the Think Forum in general, it's info at Think Forum. But Dave, anything you wanted to add in closing?
No, I just hope a lot of people sign up and come on down. We're expecting 400 plus, and the event has been well planned and well thought out, and I think everybody will not only enjoy themselves there. Oh, I should probably mention the Tuesday night we do get to have a real fun kind of social event at the end of the main part of the conference, and that is a beach party out at the beachside area behind the hotel, and that should be a lot of fun. Great food, great drinks, and games. So.
All right, so it's not all work.
It's not all work. So time well spent though, because you can learn while you're having fun.
Well, sure sounds like it. All right, well, with no questions, I'd just like to thank everybody for joining the session today. And as mentioned, this webinar has been recorded, and it will be posted on the thinkforum.com website in just a few days. So again, thank you for attending, and have a great rest of your day.
All right, thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.